have to put her on the payroll here
She's
pretty
so
soon.
hired.
We're joined in studio by Desi Sprawls, who is with the engineering firm, I guess, that I would called Fort and Tablada.
That's correct.
And you are one of the members. You're co-chairing a new economic recovery task force that is going to hopefully bring Shreveport back. That's your mission, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. How did you get involved? Who's appointed this task force? What's it all about?
Well, let me back up. I'll just give you a little history.
Okay.
Being in the engineering business, we're directly connected in the economy. I would say we're at the upper end of the economy. Things generally come through engineering, architect, then they go to construction, but usually we're at the front end of economic development, not in the middle or towards the end of economic development. I've been concerned about economic development in Shreveport for several years now, and have been looking for ways to enhance or increase economic development for Shreveport. And a lot of people think that this is just a cross bayou redo, but it's not. When Larry English approached me about Cross Bayou, again, I saw it as a way to try to create some type of economic development. Of course, that was all pre-COVID-19.
Sure.
You know, the world has changed as we know it.
Right.
So all of that in its initial concept, that's gone away. We sat down, we regrouped, and then one day Larry called me and he said, look, you know, we still need some type of economic growth for Shreveport. We got to have some type of economic recovery plan. And he said, why don't we reach out to some local business people, see if we can get them to volunteer their time, and let's see if we can come up with some strategies that we can present to the elected officials when we get to the other side of COVID-19 so that they're not starting from square one. Because
why is a guy who's living in Harlem leading the charge for economic development in Shreveport, and it's not driven by local economic development leaders? It just sounds awkward.
Well, Larry and his wife actually own a home in Highland, and they spend quite a bit of their time here. In fact, his wife actually now prefers living in Shreveport to living in New York. But he grew up in Shreveport,
right.
So he has a vested interest in this city, you know, because it's his hometown, and the fact that he still has a home and has an interest in Shreveport, Louisiana. So when he contacted me, I said, yes, we need to do something. We liken it to building a railroad, where the elected officials, after COVID-19 has passed, their focus is going to shift to economic recovery. And so there needs to be some type of economic engine, an economic train of sorts to help Shreveport begin to recover and rebuild its economy. And we're just trying to lay the tracks. If we can get out there and lay the tracks, then the local officials will be able to start and be able to decide what's going to be best for Shreveport and economic recovery.
So what is that? What are your tracks looking like these days?
Okay, what we've done, first of all, the committee right now is about 40 citizens. It's all volunteer. There's no funding involved. Everyone is donating their time. It's a very broad range. We have very young people on the committee. We have more mature people like myself on the committee. You know, we have men, we have women, we have, you know, blacks, we have whites. We tried to reach out, cover the broad spectrum of Shreveport's population.
Self-appointed, though, by your vice chair with Larry
Right.
English. Did y'all pick who you wanted?
We just started reaching out to business people and then told them, you reach out. Whereas it's just kind of a word of mouth. We're trying to put this thing together. Anybody who's interested in economic recovery for Shreveport is welcome to come and join and be a part of this. We made the mayor aware of our committee. This is not a mayor's committee. The mayor has his hands full fighting COVID-19. We just told him we're volunteers. We don't want to do it without you being aware. And he just said, I appreciate you volunteering your time. You know, I look forward to seeing what you have when the time comes. And he just wished us well and thanked us for being willing to volunteer our time to try to come up with some strategies for the economic development.
So what sort of businesses are represented on your committee?
Well, I don't know if I can name them all. We have, architects and engineers. We have people from construction. We have people from, I guess, I don't know how you would say it, the technology, side of things. On the committee, we looked at certain what we thought were key areas. And again, let me back up. What the committee is trying to do is we believe that after we come out of COVID-19, there's going to be federal dollars available for communities, or maybe some state monies, but we want to be in a position to where our elected officials can go out and capture as much money that's going to be available and bring it into Shreveport to help revitalize Shreveport. We felt that if we just sat and did nothing, we were going to be behind the curve, and all of the cities who did go out proactively and get in line for these monies, they're going to grab all the monies, and Shreveport, will not get our, fair share of what might be there. So that's the purpose of this, is try to identify funding sources and have projects and ideas lined up, ready to go. So if the monies are available, we can capitalize on those monies and be able to create those projects.
Talking to Desi Sprawls, who's co-chair of the Economic Recovery Task Force. A bunch of these names, as you acknowledged from jump, are and were related to the Cross Bayou project. You yourself did some work on the Cross Bayou project, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Is the Cross Bayou project still a viable entity for Shreveport? Is that something that this committee will even be working on at all?
Maybe in the future. I mean, this committee isn't about creating Cross Bayou. This committee is about economic development. If there's some pieces or portions of development along Cross Bayou that will make sense and are a part of this, then they may be a part of the package. But, we're talking about a committee that goes way beyond Cross Bayou.
And does what? What will you be doing? What are your actionable items that you can do to help?
Okay. The first area we identified was broadband and 5G technology. We think that coming out of COVID-19, the world is going to change more and more towards technology. I didn't know what Zoom was pre-COVID-19. Now I'm on Zoom all the time. And one thing I've noticed about Zoom is it's kind of intermittent. It's not the greatest platform in the world, but it'll be a platform of preference, I believe, for a lot of businesses in the future. So we think, well, two things. First of all, we think that broadband internet ought to be available to every citizen in Shreveport. And we believe that there are some neighborhoods that do not have broadband. They've been overlooked. But we think that's a disparity that needs to be corrected. We think that there needs to be broadband internet for every citizen of the city of Shreveport. The second thing we believe is that the future for businesses and technology is going to be the 5G network. So we also believe that 5G for the future of Shreveport is very important. And so we have one committee that's looking strictly at broadband and 5G. What are possible funding sources? What needs to be done? What do we need to present to the governing authorities when we come out of COVID-19 as a recommendation for how do we get broadband internet to every citizen of Shreveport, and how do we begin to develop 5G so that Shreveport is competitive and what to me is going to be the new America, because coming out of COVID-19, things are going to be different. I mean,
are those efforts duplicitous though? I understand the mayor's been working on getting 5G to town since he took office.
Right, but also broadband in general. This has been something that's been around since prior to even running for office, that we've been having these discussions. What's different now than what we've determined through the transition committees that the mayor had, and then moving forward with our CTO and our economic developer?
Yep, we're about funding. We think that there are going to be revenues and sources for funding of a lot of the projects that y'all been interested in for some time, but just didn't have the funding to go forward with. So we're about funding. We're about looking for the dollars and the funds that are going to be able to do the broadband, the technology, the infrastructure, the other things that we think are all needed kind of in a combined package to help Shreveport
But wasn't that the job of our economic developer and his team to do that research for finding that funding?
Well,
Are we
believe,
creating a redundancy?
well, the thing about this redundancy is it's all free, and it's all professionals, and it's all highly technical people, and we're here to support the city. We're not here to do something. We're not here to do the city's job. We're here to
Right.
provide support and help. And again, we're after funding. The whole purpose of these, I mean, we can come up with all kinds of great ideas, but at the end of the day, if there's no money, we've basically just spun our wheels.
I want to talk more about that. Can you stay with us?
Sure.
We'll do another segment when we get back with Desi Sprawls, co-chair of the Economic Recovery Task Force, about a 40-member panel that self-appointed, I guess. You guys have gotten together yourselves, and we'll talk more about the funding and what is available. That is all coming up next right here, 101.7 FM and 710 Keel.